Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Daniel Gormali. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, a friend of mine on Facebook asked me to potentially do a video because talk about imposter syndrome in chess. Now, what is imposter syndrome? Imposter is where you feel like you're an imposter. You feel like you're not good enough to occupy that position effectively. That is what imposter syndrome is, apparently. Now, David Haydon mentioned to me that potentially he suffers from this imposter syndrome because David got good. I think he's from Essex originally. I'm not sure exactly, maybe North London. But David got good. I remember playing him online. I remember thinking, "Who's this guy?" He's like, he's like really good at blitz. Interesting, interesting. We must do the procedure. First, first report, then block. But yeah, no, he was good at blitz. Basically, very good at blitz. Yeah. And I remember playing him in the over the ball blitz championships, and he had this kind of simple style. It's like he'd see tactics quickly. Wasn't pretentious. So I think maybe if you do all this kind of chess study that you're supposed to, you end up being a bit pretentious. You end up playing too much strategy, right? So in a way, he didn't have that kind of cultured chess education that some people have in terms of developing your understanding. But chess takes all sorts. It doesn't really matter how you get there. That's the thing about chess. It doesn't matter how you get from A to B as long as you get there. I think that's the important thing to realize. So I think I understand where he's coming from because, I never played any junior chess. Therefore, I was always kind of like an underdog and also came from South London. A lot of good chess players often had kind of university education. I felt that the other day actually. I did a similar at Oxford University. I sort of felt imposter syndrome there because you've got all these very highly educated Oxford students, highly intelligent, highly motivated, and then there's little old me from southeast London. So I'm always feeling I'm kind of like an underdog, right? And when I play in tournaments where I'm playing against some of the top players, I feel that very much. When you're playing against people like Michael Adams, people like David Howe, Gawain Jones, it's very easy to kind of build up a kind of fear factor because you think, just not good enough to play these people, right? You have to go in with a self belief. Um, it's very intimidating sometimes because you're playing on the top boards, everybody's watching your game. That's why I often felt more comfortable doing a commentary in recent years. But at the same time, you do feel like you're good enough to compete. You should be out there competing. But yeah, people like my commentary, so that's fine. It's only for one tournament. It's not like I'm doing it all the time. I'm playing a lot as well. But yeah, when I played in tournaments like the British and you're playing against people like Michael Adams, it's quite an intimidating experience because you know that they're much higher rated than you and you know that they're out to get you and they probably will get you. But I've also got results against these people as well. So I think a lot of being successful at something is about self belief, is about not suffering from imposter syndrome, believing that you belong there. I read this biography by Nick Faldo, and he said that what is important is total self belief. He said that in order to achieve the greatest results, you need total self belief. So you see that from someone like Rory McIlroy recently in the golf, because he won the Masters. Suddenly he's got total self belief now. He's making eagle putts at the last. So Nick Faldo, when he was winning everything, it was just a lot of self belief. He just believed in himself and psychologically very strong. Another golfer is very strong as mentally very strong. Brooks Koepka, right? So it might not have been as good as some of these players, but he just had so much self belief. So when it ever came to a major, everyone else getting nervous or choking, he's basically staying at the same level, right? He's not fading like they are. So he's somehow staying at the same, right? He's staying the same. So that's been the case for me in some of these events where I haven't believed in myself. Sometimes you feel like you need to do more because you're playing against better players. You remember one of the first times I played Adams in a classical game was at Sheffield, and I actually talked about that on a YouTube video. and I felt like I needed to do more than I normally do. Right, you need to just sort of like, it's not enough what what you normally do. You have to do more, and that's a dangerous road to go down. So generally, I learned from that experience, and I remember when I played in the Gibraltar tournament in 2005. Well, mind you, that was before, right? But I played that was before I played Adams. But in general, I kind of learned on the job in a lot of these events. You know, like when you play a lot, you know, you get into a situation where you gain experience and use that experience in a positive way. So I remember when I played Dreyev you know, basically that game got me the GM title. I used that experience quite well, and I sort of like was calm. I remember in the previous game when I played against Sutovsky, who played this brilliant queen sacrifice against me. I'd sort of like got a bit nervous, and you know, I tried to rush him a little bit in time trouble. But when I played against Dreyev, it was very important. I sort of sat on my hands, and you know, I didn't kind of rush it, and that really made a difference. And I sort of worked everything out. I played against Jonah Willow recently, played a very nice game. And I remember earlier in the tournament, I was panicking. But in that game, I kind of kept my cool and I used my time well. So I do think, as far as psychology is concerned in chess, one of the most important things to remember is hard work will make up for a lot of bad psychology. You know, you got to work hard. You can only talk about psychology so much, but you've got to work hard. You know, I think if you work hard at home, you will have the confidence when you take it to the board that you won't start panicking when things go wrong. What I've noticed in recent times is I've started to collapse a lot. You know, when the positions get sharp, when I'm under pressure, I tend to start reacting. So I'm trying to work on that a lot, where I'm trying to be in a situation where if I'm under pressure, I've got more confidence in what I'm doing, in my process, in my calculation, in my working out on the board. So I think hard work can make up for a lot of bad psychology. And I think psychology, when people talk about bad psychology, it's often just people who are just lazy and just not really working on their chess, right? So anyway, those are my thoughts about imposter syndrome. But I do think it's a serious thing. You've got to have a huge amount of self-belief to achieve these kind of things. You look at some of the top guys in English chess, they've won like numerous English championships and British championships. Yes, they are better players, but they've also got very good psychology as well. They don't tend to be intimidated by anyone. You know, I played some of these guys and I'm like shaking at the board, you know. They're not doing that. So that's a big difference, right? But yeah. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Leave your comments down below. Do you suffer from imposter syndrome at chess? It's a very interesting subject, actually. You know, we could create, maybe I could write a book about, you know, different psychological states in chess, right? Because there's books on chess psychology, but actual psychological states that you suffer from in chess aren't quite. Jonathan Rowson went into this a little bit with, you know, he talked about ego and stuff like that. You know, I do think your ego is very important when you play chess as well. That, you know, it's the same sort of thing when I say I'm collapsing because my ego is telling me, you know, you need to do this, you need to do that, right? And you're effectively choking. You know, talk about this in sports psychology where you sabotage your own chances by doing something stupid because just to escape from the pressure. And I often think I lose in situations where I'm under pressure. Like when I played Coventry recently, I lost a game about middle of the tournament, round 5. And to be honest, I played a lot better after that because I felt like the pressure was lifted. I felt like it couldn't get any worse. Just felt like a lot of relief because I was feeling the pressure build up. I was thinking that recently. I played a game the other day in a league match in Manchester. And I thought, if I was doing a pub quiz right now, say it starts at 7:30, I'd be really looking forward to it. I'm playing a game of chess. I'm not looking forward to it at all, right? I'm going away to play these tournaments soon, and I'm thinking, you know, am I looking forward to playing? Because, you know, as soon as you get there, as soon as you start playing, you actually don't enjoy it. So pressure's a privilege, yeah, but sometimes I think pressure wears on you as well. And it's dealing with that pressure and doing it in an effective way. And I think the only solution really is to work really, really hard and get to a point where you can just, that's what Korchnoi did, right? Because he was just an absolute workhorse and it was just like work, work, work. then I won't feel any pressure because I know I've got that to draw on. I know I've got the ability. It's just a question of, that's the fundamental thing in chess. You've got that ability and you want to put that into the correct practice. How do you do that? The most frustrating thing ever, which I've felt recently, is I felt I've got this ability, but I'm not using it in the right way. And you're not fulfilling your potential. That's more frustrating than anything. Anyway, I've waffled on too long. 10-minute video. What I discovered the other day was most people actually watch my videos only for 2 minutes, 20 seconds, then they fall asleep. So, or they've just got very low attention spans. Anyway, leave your comments down below. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with some of my comments about imposter syndrome in chess? Or do you probably don't care less, right? Thank you.